What if your silence wasn't weakness, but proof of mastery? What if the moment she doubts you, the world tests you, and life seems to pull everything away, were the exact moments shaping your strength? Every man reaches a point where words stop working and only presence speaks, where your calm becomes your loudest message and your discipline becomes your proof. Because when you stop explaining your value and start embodying it, everything changes. Respect finds you, peace protects you, and power returns home. There's a quiet shift that happens in every man's life. The moment he realizes no one is coming to validate him. No one's going to hand him peace, respect, or clarity. That's his job. Until that realization hits, he lives chasing shadows. Approval from women, recognition from friends, validation from strangers online. He doesn't even see how much power he's giving away just trying to be seen. But the moment he stops chasing and starts observing, everything slows down. He sees how noise hides the truth, how desire disguises weakness, and how his constant need to explain himself keeps him small. That's when silence becomes his weapon. Not the silence of avoidance, but the silence of self-mastery. The kind that comes when a man stops reacting to every emotion and starts moving with purpose. Because when you know who you are, you don't need to prove it. You walk differently. You speak less, but your words carry weight. You no longer rush to defend your worth, because your actions already make the case. And she feels that. Everyone does. People can sense when a man has made peace with himself. His presence feels grounded, not loud. His energy feels steady, not desperate. He doesn't need to control the room, because he already controls himself. That's what draws people in. That's what makes her respect you. Because in a world full of men begging to be noticed, the one who can stand silent commands everything. Most men confuse silence with weakness because they've never experienced true stillness. They think being quiet means being ignored. But a man who's mastered stillness isn't passive. He's calculating. He's watching, learning, choosing when and where to move. Every reaction he withholds becomes stored power. Every moment he doesn't explain himself becomes evidence of inner control. Because the truth is, anyone can speak, but few can hold their tongue when ego demands to be fed. That's why she tests you. Why life tests you. Not to break you, but to see if you've built your foundation right. When you stay calm in chaos, when you don't take the bait, when you keep your tone steady even when emotion rises, you're teaching the world how to treat you. You're sending a message. I decide when I move. Not you. And that message changes everything. People begin to adjust their energy around you. She starts to feel safe, not because you say the right things, but because your presence tells her nothing can shake you. Even your enemies sense it, that quiet dominance that can't be faked. But here's the trap. Once you taste this control, your ego will want to use it for power, to manipulate, to prove, to dominate. That's when stillness becomes arrogance. And arrogance destroys everything it builds. So you must stay rooted, not in pride, but in purpose. Remember, calm isn't about being above others. It's about being beneath nothing. Not her emotions, not their opinions, not your fears. When you can hold your ground without needing to win the moment, you've already won something far greater, mastery of yourself. And that kind of man doesn't chase peace. He is peace. See, the hardest part about becoming this kind of man isn't silence. It's patience. It's the waiting. The long stretches where nothing seems to happen, where your effort goes unseen, where people misunderstand your calm for indifference. That's when most men crumble. They break their silence too soon. They chase validation again just to feel relevant. But the Stoic man understands. Time is his ally. He knows that real strength is revealed not in how he acts when everything's clear, but in how he stands when nothing makes sense. He doesn't rush outcomes. He plants, waters, and trusts the process. He knows that forcing life is like yelling at a seed to grow. So he builds instead, quietly, daily, in his mind, in his habits, in his focus. While others are scrolling, he's studying. While they're reacting, he's reflecting. While they're performing, he's preparing. That's what makes him dangerous. Not because he's trying to prove something, but because he doesn't need to anymore. And slowly, the world begins to bend around his stillness. The same woman who once doubted him starts to feel his absence differently. The same people who underestimated him begin to wonder how he stayed steady when they couldn't. But he doesn't seek their recognition. He's not looking back to say, "See, I told you." He's already moved beyond that, because real growth is quiet. Real power doesn't announce itself. It shows up one day and makes everything else look small. The man who learns to wait without losing his fire becomes unstoppable, because patience isn't an action. It's preparation. And when he finally moves, the world listens. There comes a point where his silence gets tested harder than ever. Not by enemies, but by the people closest to him. The woman who once admired his calm begins to resent it. She says he's distant, cold, unreadable. Friends mistake his focus for pride. The world starts whispering that he's changed. And maybe he has, but not in the way they think. He's not becoming harder. He's becoming clearer. He's no longer reacting to emotion disguised as urgency. He's learned that peace has a price, and that price is misunderstanding. That's what most men can't handle. They want peace, but they still crave to be liked. They want purpose, but they still want applause. But the man walking the Stoic path knows you can't have both. You can't lead and still be understood by everyone you leave behind. Some will call your detachment arrogance because they can't comprehend self-control. Others will call your silence weakness because they've never met true restraint. But he doesn't argue anymore. He lets distance reveal truth. He lets time expose loyalty. Because real alignment doesn't need explanation. It shows itself in consistency. And in that quiet, something powerful happens. The noise fades. The opinions blur. All that's left is him, his thoughts, his discipline, his vision. That's where he realizes he was never meant to be understood by everyone, only by himself. That's the essence of stillness, not retreating from the world, but mastering your place within it. Once a man understands that, he stops chasing peace outside and starts protecting it within. When a man reaches stillness, he doesn't announce it. There's no celebration, no applause, just quiet clarity. He starts living by a different rhythm. He doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't explain, he demonstrates. He doesn't talk about peace, he walks in it. The same situations that used to drain him now pass through him like wine through mountains. The same people who once shook his balance now struggle to reach his center. Because he's no longer living from reaction. He's living from intention. He's learned that the world will always test his calm, but tests don't disturb what's real. They refine it. Each challenge sharpens his patience. Each heartbreak deepens his perspective. Each loss teaches him that what truly belongs to him can never be taken, and what leaves was never his to keep. That understanding is freedom. And when he stands in that freedom, everything around him changes. The woman who once doubted him now feels safe again. Not because he chased her, but because he became the kind of man she can trust without words. His friends notice his quiet certainty. His enemies lose interest, because you can't fight what doesn't react. This is the power of stillness. Not emptiness, but control. Not withdrawal, but awareness. It's the point where a man no longer needs the world to recognize him, because he's already recognized himself. And from that place, he moves differently, not louder, not faster, but deeper. Because he finally understands silence was never his weakness. It was his awakening.